All right, it's 10:01, so I think we'll
It
go
is.
ahead
Let's
and get
go.
started. Let's do this. Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our TEIS accreditation kickoff for West Tennessee. So we did the kickoff meeting for East Tennessee on Tuesday. We did the kickoff for Middle Tennessee on Wednesday, and then you guys are today. So you're wrapping us up. So we're so glad that you're here. Thank you for joining us. I know everyone is busy. The purpose of kickoff is to really just give you guys information about what's about to happen with the accreditation process. I know we've been talking about this for several months, and so I know many of you are probably like, well, what does this mean? Well, how does this impact me? Well, what does it look like? Well, what do you need me to do? Those type of things. So we're going to hopefully answer those questions and other questions that you may have today during this meeting. But it's really about just kind of level setting and helping us to get all on the same page in terms of expectations, what's about to happen, what's coming next, how you can help, how it impacts you as family members, providers, that type of thing. So that's what we'll be covering today. Again, feel free to use the chat box. You can raise your hand here and just ask questions. And I think it's important to note that there are no wrong questions. So, if you will have a question about something, we're very informal, we're very relaxed. We like to have a good time in our meetings. We all are having to do them virtually now. So, our motto is have fun with it. You can have fun and learn at the same time. It just makes it better. So please feel free to ask questions. Do not hesitate because that's what we're here for. So I want you guys to be comfortable with that. Before we get started into the presentation, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you should see a reactions button. It's a little smiley face with a plus sign right there sitting on the top of his head, right there. Look at that reaction button and click on it, and you should see a bunch of options: clapping, thumbs up, those type of things. So I want to give you guys an opportunity to use that and engage with us. So I want to get a sense of who's in the room, and then we'll do introductions, okay? So using your reaction button, family members, if you are a family member, give me a reaction. You can use, we're going to have fun today since this is our last kickoff. Let's have some fun. Use whatever emoji you want to use as your reaction. But family members, if I have family members in the meeting, hey, Carrie, welcome. Thank you. Use that reaction button and let me know that you're here so we can recognize you guys. Thank you for joining us, Carrie. And again, feel free to ask questions. You can't see a reaction button, Shelly. Now, I think it's hard to see if you're on a mobile device, I believe. If you're on a laptop, it should be at the bottom of your screen. All right, providers. If you are a provider, give me a reaction. All of my providers, let me see those reactions being used. Hey, hello. Hello, everybody. And if you don't have a reaction button, you can turn your camera on and wave your hand. I can see you that way. Hi, providers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Wow. It's a good number of providers, too. Awesome. All right. And then finally, if you are a TEIS staff member, let's see a reaction. Give me some reactions on this good Thursday morning. Yes. Hello, TEIS staff. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you. Oh, I love the hearts, y'all. Oh, that's so nice. I love that. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Welcome. So we're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk about, what we're going to be doing over the next year or so and getting TEIS accredited. We'll talk about what it'll look like, what to expect. But before we jump into that, we'll do an introduction of your two facilitators today, which is myself and Kate. I'm Courtney Kelly. I am the Assistant Commissioner of Accreditation and Person-Centered Practice for the department. I've been with the department since 2006. I've been in the field since 97. I worked as a DSP, direct care professional, in college. I worked second shift, and I've done a little bit of everything, all different types of stuff in the field. So lots of experience, and I love what I do. I've been involved in accreditation work since July of 2012. It was a really unique experience, me getting involved in the accreditation work, but I love it. The department became accredited in 2015, and the rest is history. We're still working. We're still working to improve lives. We're trying to raise the bar of quality. So lots going on within DIDD around accreditation, and just excited about TEIS. Kate?
Good morning. I'm Catherine Dunbar. Most people call me Kate, and I'm the Vice President of Accreditation here at CQL. I've been with CQL since 2015. I've been working with Miss Courtney since about 2016. Actually, I've been working with the entire accreditation team, and they're phenomenal people. Prior to coming to CQL, I was with a provider agency and oversaw all of our programs in Illinois, Missouri, and Minnesota. Like Courtney, I started as a DSP in college and found a passion and have been doing that ever since. So very, very excited to work with you guys and to have this conversation with you so you can learn more about what we're going to be doing and how we're going to get to our goal.
Yeah. All right, Kate, you want to take this one, this first
Sure.
slide? All right.
Sure. So a lot of times we get this question a lot. What is accreditation? What's it mean? Why are we doing this? You know, all of those things. Accreditation is really an external validation of those things that you're doing. And our approach, as opposed to other accrediting bodies' approaches, is really about meeting you where you're at. When we engage with an organization, we really look at what that organization wants to do, what their goals are, how they're doing what they're doing. And so we meet them right there. We do not expect perfection. It is not accreditation is not a grade or anything like that. It's more about a partnership between TEIS and CQL and helping TEIS move along the quality journey. So there are lots of parts and pieces to an accreditation. We'll be having lots and lots and lots of conversations. We look at policies, procedures, you know, because that kind of guides the organization. Most importantly, we look at practices. We look at how you're doing what those policies say, and are they working? And if they're not working, why? So we'll be having lots of conversations with all kinds of stakeholders. And by that, I mean, of course, TEIS staff. We'll be talking with family members. We'll have a lot of conversations with them. We'll be talking with the providers of TEIS services. So that would include organizations, therapists, you know, OT, PT, SLP, really anybody that touches the organization. We'll try to have conversations with to learn more about TEIS and how they're doing things, and then we'll figure out how to move that forward and all those wonderful things that you guys are doing. We'll figure out how to make sure that those are prevalent throughout the system, and we'll make sure that those really, really good practices that you have in some places are carried throughout the organization.
Yes. Okay, and really quick, I forgot to recognize our TEIS leadership, your leader, Dr. Gabby Madison. Dr. Madison, do you have a few words you want to say real quick before we get deeper into the presentation?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Last but not least, it's so nice to see everyone out in West. Yes, I'm Gabby Madison, Assistant Commissioner with TEIS, and it's nice to see you all. Welcome families, providers, and of course, TEIS staff. We're going to learn quite a bit today. And as Courtney had mentioned, you know, we're just really laying the groundwork for all of what's going to come ahead. And she'll reference in a few times that this is a lot of hard work. However, her team and our team, that's not anything that we're ever afraid of. So as we move forward with learning and asking some questions and getting answers, I hope this helps you all and helps kind of fill in those gaps and those puzzle pieces as we all learn together.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And also, I'm working, Allison Boyd, she's on the call, Dr. Amanda Schaefer and Joan Kennedy. We're all working together to kind of navigate and manage this piece. So if you ever need help or you have questions about anything, you can reach out to myself, Allison Boyd, Amanda Schaefer, or Joan Kennedy. Amanda and Joan, y'all just wave to everybody. I think people know who you guys are, but yeah, there they are. So we're the group that's managing all of the accreditation work for TEIS. So very excited. So accreditation with CQL is important. And I have to always share my story of when I first was voluntold to get trained to start the accreditation process. It's important because it provides a strong foundation for your network, for providers, and it helps you to develop those systems and practices in order to provide person-centered services to families with infants and toddlers with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So it's really taking a deeper look at your systems and your practices, and I'll explain that more in a moment. But I'll never forget, back in the summer of 2012, our then commissioner at that time was Debbie Payne. Well, no, it was Jim Henry, and Debbie Payne was the assistant. But she came to me and she said, Courtney, you're going to get certified to do CQL accreditation training. So I was like, huh? Didn't have a clue, y'all. I didn't know. I was like, okay, because, that's what she wanted me to do. So I was going to do it. It was just simple. So I went to my very first training. It was with Jill. She works with CQL, and hopefully Jill will get to work with us here with TEIS. I love Jill. Jill is like, her energy is amazing. We have so much fun together. We're like, But anyways, Jill did the training. And we were at the Rochelle Center here in Nashville. It's a provider agency here in Nashville. So we were sitting all in this conference room, and Jill was just going through everything. And I mean, I was looking at the other people in the room like, y'all know what's going on? We know what's going on. What is this? Just didn't know. It was all new, So we listened, we did what we were supposed to do. After lunch, Jill sent us out to have conversations with people supported. So to do like a personal outcome measure interview, basically. And I got paired with this young lady that worked in the workshop. And when I tell you, I had the best time, guys. Like she and I just talked about everything. We had so much fun. They actually had to come and get the both of us because we were just in our own little world. But when I had that conversation one-on-one with the person that was receiving services, that's when the light bulb came on for me. And that's when I recognized, wow, this is amazing. And the cool thing about CQL, there's many accrediting bodies. There's all different types of accrediting bodies, and they do things differently. But a lot look at paper. Not that there's nothing wrong with it, but they look to make sure your policies and procedures are in place and you're following the rules and regs and all of those things. And those things are great. Don't get me wrong. That's important. You need that too. But I think the thing that makes CQL accreditation really unique is that CQL does a holistic approach. And so they're talking to families and people that are actually receiving services and service providers. And so it crosses the whole spectrum. And so you get everybody's perspective. And that's really unique because it tells you a lot. If you go to people and you have those conversations and say, hey, tell me what's working, what's not working, how can we do things differently? How can we do this better? And you get people's real input. You learn a ton, and it helps you to realize what you thought you was doing well, it may not be doing it so well. So that's the beauty of accreditation, and that's why accreditation is important, because it helps you to look at your system overall. It helps you to see, what do families deal with? What's working within the TEIS system for families? What is not working within the TEIS system for families? So there may be things that you guys think on the TEIS side that works beautifully, but on the family side, they're like, this is really tough. We struggle. I have 17 pieces of paper that I got to send to 50 people. Half the time, I don't know who they are. I don't know if they've got it. So it's things like that. And so accreditation helps you to kind of comb through that and tease through that and say, hey, do we really need 17 pieces of paper to do 6 things? Like, is this really necessary? Can we simplify this? Can we streamline it? And so that's what accreditation does. It takes a deep dive look at your systems and help you to figure out, what are those things that you can do better? How can you make it easier for people? So that's what this is all about. And certainly with families, dealing in our service delivery system, guys, y'all know we use the alphabet soup. We have every acronym under the book. And now that I'm working with TEIS, you guys have acronyms. And I'm like, well, what? Help me. What is EIRA? We have a ton of acronyms. So imagine as a family member, brand new, coming into the system, and we're throwing all this alphabet soup at you, and we're telling you about this particular assessment and this particular thing, and you're sitting there just absolutely overwhelmed. That's what this system is going to do. This process is going to do is it's going to look to see, does this work for families? How can we make it better? How can we make it easier, so that they understand what's expected and how we can support them, and how to communicate with us back and forth. So in 2012, DIDD decided to seek Person-Centered Excellence Network accreditation with CQL, and we were awarded accreditation in 2015 and re-accredited in 2019. So like I said, we've been on this journey for a moment. And let me also tell you guys that, you know, the whole process of change takes time. So don't expect that we're going to hit the ground running today, and then in 4 months, the world is going to look totally different, because guess what? It's not. It's not. But you have to celebrate the small successes, because we will have small successes. And trust me, we celebrate those because you work hard. But I think there's rewards in working hard. And I think once you see all the work you put in and the rewards on the back end, you're going to be very proud of yourselves, because certainly we are. We have done a lot of work, but there's so much more that needs to be done. It's a learning cycle, so you're constantly learning.
For sure.
So TEIS became a part of DIDD in July 2020, and we were so excited. It was determined that TEIS would be accredited by CQL because it would be beneficial and improve the lives of children receiving services and their families in Tennessee. And again, that's what it's all about. How do we make things better for the people that are receiving the services? It's about better quality of life, better support. What do you need? Are there things that we don't offer that maybe if we look at it, we can? You know, it's all of those things, but you have to have those conversations. You have to talk about it in order to understand what it is you want to work on or what it is that you need to work on. So how this is going to work, and I'm glad about this, is that TEIS accreditation will be folded into DIDD's accreditation, and we'll follow the same timelines, which would be great from the management perspective of this, because this is a lot of work. And so to have them folded in together, and that's something that CQL recommended, which we were thrilled. It doesn't mean that TEIS doesn't have to do the work. They do. And that's what we're going to be talking about more today, is what's the next step for TEIS along this process? Because you got to think, we've been on this journey since 2012. But we'll fold them in together, and we'll talk more about that as we move forward.
You may be asking, sure, Courtney, you may be asking why it's not a separate accreditation. And if not, I'm going to explain it anyway. But because DIDD is the overarching system for TEIS, that is why it's being included. You know, again, with a holistic approach, we really want to see how those systems work together. And we wanted to do this right from the get-go when TEIS became part of the DIDD, because as you are looking at your, systems and your practices, your policies, your procedures, all of those things that you do, as TEIS continues to kind of blend more with the DIDD, it just makes sense, for us to take a look at everything that you guys are doing under the context of DIDD's, kind of mission and vision also. So. Yep.
And it just makes sense, like you said, Kate. And we were so thrilled when CQL suggested that. We were like, yes, that's great. So what's going to happen? What are the first steps? So the first thing we had to do was designate TEIS team members who would be their main responsibility at this point right now is focusing on supporting the accreditation efforts and working with CQL. So we've identified 6 TEIS staff And I think it was either Dr. Madison or Amanda. Somebody put it in the chat yesterday who those 6 TEIS staff were. So if somebody could do that again, because I apologize, I'm still learning everybody. So I don't remember all the names off the top of my head, but I'll know them soon enough. So we identified 6 TEIS team members who will become certified trainers in the personal outcome measures, the basic assurances, and they will become IRR certified so that they can train and collect data. We also identified 6 DIDD staff who work on my team, who will be that backup support to the TEIS team so that we can get more work done. The more people you have certified, the more work you can do, the more data you can collect. And the way we structured it is 2 people per region. So 2 TEIS staff per region so that they can support each other and work together as partners. So 2 for middle, 2 for west, and 2 for east, and the same for the DIDD, 6 DIDD staff. So we have a total of 12 people who have started this journey. So that's where we are on the first steps. So those staff will be trained and certified in the personal outcome measures interviews. So those personal outcome measure interviews will be one-on-one interviews with families and children, talking about their lives and what's important and what matters and those type of things. But you learn so much from these guided conversations. So they're going to learn how to do those. Also, they will be trained and certified to complete basic assurance reviews. Basic assurance reviews is when we go into a provider and we look at their policies. We kind of do a top-down review of the organization, looking at their policies and procedures, talking to various people within the organizations, talking to board members and family members and people supported and staff, and really understanding how that organization works. And then we gather information to find what's going well within that organization and what are some opportunities within that organization to align with the basic assurances. So that's what these trainers will be focused on. I'd say they start around early part of May on the credentialing trainer track. And the first part is going to take about 3 or 4 months. Thank you, Amanda. So the 6 TEIS staff who are the designated staff identified to become certified trainers is in the chat box, so you guys will know who they are. And really support these guys, y'all, because this is a lot of work. But they'll start the credentialing process in May. The first part, the personal outcome measure piece of getting credentialed in that piece, it's going to take about 3 or 4 months, just juggling schedules, life happens, all of those things. And then they'll start the process to become certified in the basic assurances. So how you can help is by when we reach out and say, hey, we need participants for our trainings, because they're going to have to show that they're able to facilitate the trainings, that they understand the content and the material, and they'll be scored on that. And so how you can help as a TEI staff, as a provider, as a family member, is by joining those classes and signing up for those classes when they're offered and supporting them in that in the very beginning. So for the summer, that's what they're going to be doing, is they're going to be working on getting certified. So after completing the training and the certification, the designated TEIS staff will then begin to gather baseline data. And they're going to gather that data by completing those personal outcome measure interviews and the basic assurance reviews at providers who are within the TEIS network. So what happens is there's going to be a sample created. We'll have a sample size that's created by CQL, and it will be providers from across the state. And we'll do a random sample of people who receive services, families, children within our network, within the TEIS program. The certified trainers will go out. Each person will have a set amount assigned to them, right? So they'll go out and they'll conduct those interviews and gather that data. That data will then be put into what we call the portal. It's a database where you put all of this wonderful data that you collect. And then we have our geniuses on the back end, one being Amber Perry. They go in and make magic happen. I can't even begin to explain to you what they do. What's her name? Her name is escaping me, Kate.
Carly.
Carly and Amber, they have big brains. That's all I can say. They're very, very smart, very smart. But they work their magic with the data, and they produce these beautiful reports that tells us all types of things. And so we then take those reports and look at how do we start to change the systems. We'll understand what's working and what's not working. Also, The trainers will offer personal outcome measures workshops for service providers and stakeholders, and those are also available for TEIS staff. So again, help us do this work by participating. When we offer trainings and those type of things, please sign up, and that's how you can help this work from where you sit. So that data will be analyzed, and it will help to establish areas of highlights and opportunities within the TEIS system. So what that means simply is, what does TEIS do well? Because there are many things that you guys do very well. Mm-hmm. Are those things that you do well, do they spread across the entire system? Like, do you see it Middle, East, and West? You know, sometimes we see things that happen in West Tennessee that don't happen in East Tennessee. Well, if it's good, why not make it happen across the board? So that's the kind of stuff we'll be looking at. And there's great stories within all of this. So we're going to be looking for those stories as well. But then there's going to be some areas where you guys can do some work. We all have those areas where you can improve. So that's what we call opportunities. What are those things you can do better? And the data that we collect is going to tell us what those areas are, because we're going to get information from families to say, my service coordinator is the best. I mean, she's amazing. She's attentive. She's this. But, it takes such a long time to get anything approved. Oh, it just takes forever to get my services. I have to wait, blah, blah, blah. These are just examples. But it's that kind of thing. And so you're like, well, what's the clog in the system? And so those are the opportunities and things that we'll look at as a leadership team with Dr. Madison, Dr. Schaefer, Joan, myself, Kate. We'll look at those things and start to work through them to say, how can we tease this out? How can we start to work through these and resolve the issues that have been identified? So that's pretty much the process in a nutshell. I know I make it sound simple as well. It's involved, but that's pretty much how it works in a nutshell. Any questions before I go and talk about communication? Okay, that's the people who have been identified. Okay, my little button was red, y'all. Technology, I'm like a squirrel. I'll be like, what is that? I'll take off, y'all. Y'all just bear with me. I can't help it. It's too much. I can't help it. So another thing that's important for us is communication. So I will be completely honest and transparent with you guys. When we started this process for DIDD, we thought we were communicating well. Like, we thought we had it together. We found out we didn't. People were coming and saying, we don't know what's happening next, or we don't understand why we did that particular meeting. What does it mean? And so it became very clear to us that, you ain't communicating like you thought you were. So we had to sit down, revamp. We created a communications plan, and we became very intent on how we communicated, because we realized what we thought we were doing well, we were not. So for this accreditation process, communication within the network is huge. We have to share our expectations, and we have to have support from our families and our providers. That's the only way we can do this. The TEIS, the 6 TEIS people that have been identified cannot do this by themselves. It's going to take each and every one of you on this call, on this WebEx, to help us do this, because we can't do it by ourselves. So what we're going to do is we're going to have quarterly check-ins, quarterly regional meetings. They will be held in regions. And I know some of you guys may not be familiar with the regional breakdown, because I think you guys broke down in districts and broke down a little different. But for DIDD, we just break down by 3 grand regions: West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, and East Tennessee. So we'll hold those quarterly check-ins with established stakeholders. So we're going to create a stakeholder group, and we're going to provide you with up-to-date information in our progress. We're going to talk about what's going on. And I'm going to tell you right now, we're very open and honest. We're an honest bunch. We're going to tell you, well, you know what? We didn't meet that goal, but here's how we plan to attack it. Here's how we're going to do it. Because life happens. You can have the best plans in the world, but trust me, life happens and will derail you every single time. And so you just have to pick up, reevaluate, and keep moving. As long as you're moving forward, you're doing good. So we'll have those quarterly meetings. I'm thinking the first round of quarterly meetings will be held sometime in August. You guys will get notifications. Lauren Legate, I think I saw her on here. She's the communications queen. That's what I'm gonna call you, Lauren. Lauren's the communications queen. And she's gonna make sure that all that information, she's gonna be working closely with Seth, who is with CQL, to make sure that that communication is out there. Like for this particular presentation, you guys will get the PowerPoint. I think you're going to get the recording as well. We'll share that. So we'll make sure that we're getting those things out to you guys. It will be social media, it will be email, it will be newsletter, whatever method that we can use to get that information out, we will do that. But also, if there's another way to do it, or if there's something you guys think we're not doing or we're missing, please let us know. Share that with us, and we'll work through all of that and try to make that happen as best as we can. But we will be communicating at least quarterly. There will be more stuff that's happened on social media and updates and all of those wonderful things. But those quarterly meetings are huge. And when you come to the quarterly meeting, it's important. What we need from you guys to help us with this process is to participate. Come, tell us what's going well, tell us what isn't going well, tell us what you're struggling with. We're going to come to you and present sets of questions and say, hey, here's what the data is telling us, here's what we've identified, let's talk through this, let's talk about this. So we really need that engagement and that participation. That's what we need from you guys. So when we put the call out for stakeholders for those quarterly meetings, please sign up. That's important. Kate, did I miss anything?
No, I just wanted to add something. And a big part of our information gathering is conversations with people, as I talked about before. I can't stress enough that those conversations that we're having have to be transparent. We have to gather the information that is out there. And, so sometimes, when we're talking about how things are going and what's working, what's not working, sometimes people are hesitant to share that information. So we'll do what it takes to make sure that we're getting the information that we need, and that, it's open and honest communication. We're not here to scold you. We're not here to wag our fingers at you and tell you you're being naughty. We're here to support you. And to do that, we have to know. So, we'll do some things virtually, we'll do some things eventually, in person after a lot of people are vaccinated. So, but we'll also do things, from SurveyMonkey and things like that. What we don't do is quote people. I'm not going to, if we're having a conversation and, in a stakeholder group, I'm not going to say, well, Cecile said this and Susan said this and Joanne said this. That's not how it works. The information that we gather is it's aggregated and, summarized is what it is. So, I can't, Courtney has been stressing participation. I would just add to that transparent and honest.
Make sure you put your phones on mute, guys. Sometimes I can mute you if I hear you making noise, but just go ahead and do that prior. That will be very helpful. I mean, that I missed the in-person meetings. Yes, but the virtual meetings, I'll tell you, some of the stuff I've heard sitting in virtual meetings, my goodness, like we could almost do a virtual meeting bingo, like, whew, it is what it is, though. It gets us through, so we make the best of it.
It's all about transparency, Courtney.
It is. Some folks are a little too transparent, but it's all good.
So, the personal outcome measure training that, we'll be getting started here very, very soon, sooner than we can blink, really. That is a really, really good training. And I'm not just saying that because I work for CQL. Even before I worked for CQL, I, worked for an agency that was accredited by CQL. And those personal outcome measure trainings are just fantastic. They're very engaging. You're not just sitting in a room listening to someone drone. You're very engaged, and there are lots of fun activities, and you get to talk to people. I mean, it's a lot of fun. So we do cap the number of people who can be at those meetings, but there will be enough offered where there will be plenty of opportunity for you guys to go there. Yeah,
absolutely. And we have a question in chat from Joanne. How will the stakeholder group be created? By stakeholder, does this mean providers and or families? Will it represent rural as well as urban providers? Yes. Will it include TEIS families, both currently enrolled as well as previously enrolled? Yes. And families that represent the many customer groups we have throughout the state of Tennessee. Very good questions, Joanne.
Very good.
So yes, so how we're going to create the stakeholder group is we'll work with the TEIS leadership in each region to talk about the provider network in that region, who they work with, the families. Also, we basically say, hey, who do you think is a good fit to kind of, we're looking for those people who are kind of forward thinking and open-minded and those type of things. But we also say, are we missing anybody? That type of thing. So we'll work closely with the TEIS leadership group, because your providers, your families, who best fits, to help create a stakeholder list for each region. Now, we'll add we don't try to exclude anyone, but we understand that people are busy. Not everybody wants to do it, and that's okay. But if for some reason you're not selected to be in that stakeholder group and you would like to be, shoot one of us an email and we'll get you in. So it's open. It's absolutely open. But we just kind of go through and think about the people that we work closely with, the providers that we work with, and say, hey, well, this agency is a good agency. They do blah, blah, blah. Hey, their input will be great to have. But again, if your name isn't on that list, just reach out to us. We will add you to the list. So you're absolutely more than welcome. The more the merrier. You're absolutely welcome to attend. As far as families who have been a part of, this came up yesterday and the day before, I think, families who are no longer enrolled in the program, we definitely want their input, because they're going to be able to tell us what the experience was. What were the things that really went well for them in terms of the TEIS program, and what did they struggle with? So having their input is going to be huge. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Kate.
No, I was just going to say, Joanne will also make sure that, so our Dr. Carly Friedman, who is our Director of Research and Analysis, and who is incredibly prolific, by the way.
She's brilliant.
She is quite brilliant. She and Amber will help guide that randomized sampling to make sure that we're getting all of the voices, that we're hearing all of the voices. And, just like most states, Tennessee has, places that are very, very rural, and has places that are, much more urban, and that there are, different cultures and ethnicities, and we want to be able to reach all of those people. So as we're gathering information, Carly and Amber will really guide us to ensure that we're getting all of those people. Very, very good question. Really, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So we don't want to just talk to, providers in Nashville. We want to talk to providers, in the foothills of the Smokies, or, way over in Southwest Tennessee. We want to talk to all those guys.
Yeah.
Arthur asks to explain the expectation for consistency.
So that's a very good question, Arthur. What we talk about with consistency, so let's have a moment here of being transparent. That is hard, especially when you're dealing with a state system. And you guys know as well as I know, West Tennessee is different from Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee is different. It's like three little countries. It really is. It's very different. And so oftentimes, the West team may do something a little bit different from the East team. And, it's not that they're not doing what they're supposed to do. They are. It's just how they go about doing it is very different. So that's something we found as we were going through the accreditation process. And let me tell you, we struggled. We got it done, but we struggled because, again, our West region just did stuff so different from the East region. And it's personalities, it's leadership styles, it's all those different things that fold into that to make that be what it is. But one thing is consistent. One thing that is important, I think, is for us to be consistent across the board. And what we're looking for with that is and how we're doing things. So, like, for example, the regional meetings, being consistent, making sure that we're holding them in each region, making sure that, you know, things are kind of similar in how they're structured in terms of the agenda. What they cover may be a little bit different, but we do try to make sure everybody's on the same page. It may not be spot on the same, but we try to make sure the general theme is the same, if that makes sense. So we try to be as consistent as much as you possibly can when dealing with this many people, with a state as big as ours with so many people involved. There's only so much you can control, but we do try to just make sure that things are pretty much the same, and we're getting done what we need to get done, that everybody understands the objective, that everybody understands what our goals are, everybody understands where we are in the process, those type of things. Kate, is there something you wanted to add?
No, I was just going to say that, you know, we're not coming in to toss everything that you're doing.
No.
Okay. There will be changes. That's growth, you know. But that's why we will spend a lot of time talking to people to figure out what is working well, what is not working well, and also understanding the differences in population depending on where in the state that they're from. You know, it may not work well in a very, very rural area to do everything through social media. It may be better to, you know, use other forms of communication. And we have to be attentive, you know, to that. So it's just getting, we want consistent tools in our toolboxes, you know, and we want to say, oh, this is working really, 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 really well in West Tennessee. Let's try it throughout the rest of the state and see how it works. And then, you know, and it's going to take time. You know, you can't flip a system overnight. I mean, we've been doing this for years now, Courtney, and it's still not exactly where we want it.
Listen, sometimes I call Kate, you guys, and I'm pulling my hair out. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, I'm just going to tell it like it is. But that's all a part of this process. That's a part of the change process, you know, and especially sometimes change is hard. Everybody manages change differently. Some people have real anxiety over change. Some people don't care. And so it's dealing with all of that while still trying to accomplish your goal, and get things done. Some days it'd be like, whoo, my goodness. But we keep moving forward, and you just learn a lot. You learn. So we're trying to take the lessons learned and apply them here.
Absolutely. Use those lessons learned. The other thing too, that's very important to communicate is the why. You know, why fix it if it ain't broke, right? We hear that a lot. You know, sometimes it's having someone with fresh eyes and then developing those fresh eyes yourself. Okay. Mm-hmm. I love to talk to new staff at an agency because, you know, they talk about how, things are different than the agency that they worked at before, or, you know, they have clearer vision because they're not kind of in the drone of the day-to-day, you know. So it's really taking a fresh look at what you're doing and then making changes based on that, you know. So again, don't think that we're just going to come in there and rip everything up and throw it away.
Yeah, no.
That would be a smack in the face. So that's not honoring the work that you guys have already done. So
right.
Yeah. And then I always say too, Courtney keeps referencing the, you know, 17 different forms you have to fill out, you know, to get one thing. I'm a big proponent. If you create one form, you get rid of two. You know, you just try to streamline and you try to make it work, you know, in the best way possible. Yeah. So, you know, think of us as having, you know, just a fresh outlook. We're seeing this from a completely different perspective. And, you know, getting those different perspectives is key to growing and to making sure that you're moving forward in your quality journey. Arthur also says policy purpose and procedure is what I always taught. You were spot on there.
Yep, absolutely.
Arthur, thank you for that.
Absolutely. So yeah, there's a lot of work that's ahead of us, but it's good work. I think you guys, once you start the journey, you guys will see you're going to have those light bulb moments just like we did. There's a lot that you will learn from this process. There's a lot that you're going to learn from families, and this is families that you work with forever, for long periods of time or whatever. But this process, the way it's structured, you're just going to learn things that you didn't know before, and that's a great thing. For those of you who are not one of the 6 trainers, and you may be wondering, well, how does this impact me, and how does it impact my day-to-day job? Well, we're looking at systemic change. We're looking at change overall, based on what the data tells us in terms of TEIS and how things are done, and versus some policies or procedures or what have you. Again, like Kate said, we're not changing things overnight. We're not throwing away things that are good and work, but we're looking at how to make things better. Kind of think about it almost like Chick-fil-A. If you can I always say when I'm with my sister and we go to Chick-fil-A, I'm like, you know what? If everybody ran their business like Chick-fil-A, it would be a wonderful world, like for real. The line can literally be in the street. I do not worry because I know in less than 5 minutes or so, I'm going to be at that window. They're going to be smiling. They're going to be handing me my good old tots, and they're going to tell me it was their pleasure to serve me. And that makes for a good day. So they run like a well-oiled machine. Like they have that quality down pat. How they stand out and get your order, it's amazing to watch them. And so to work to try to raise your level of quality within your program to the point that it runs like a well-oiled machine, that's a wonderful thing. And we certainly still have a long way to go, but that's definitely our goal, is to get to the point where things are just moving, like what's next and people know what's coming and those type of things. So how you can help is by participating, by being a part of the stakeholder groups, by signing up for those trainings when we roll them out and offer them, because those 6 trainers are going to need your support. They're going to need you to support them on this journey. And so that's how we're asking you to help us, is by giving us information, by letting us know when things aren't working well. Y'all did blah, 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 and that really didn't work. We okay, we got thick skin, we can take it. We done been down this road a few times. We kind of know what to expect. So, give it to us. We can handle it. So don't hesitate to talk to us and engage with us. That's how you can help if you're not sitting in the spot right now as a trainer. As providers, how you can help is by allowing us to work with you when we do basic assurance reviews, supporting us to connect with families to do those personal outcome measures interviews. Give us feedback, the same thing. And certainly for families, it's exactly the same. If you have questions, if there's something, you feel like, I have something I want to contribute and share, let us know. That's how you support this work, because it's going to take all of us. Those 6 people alone cannot do this. It is going to take each and every one of you. And so I say, have an open mind, roll up your sleeves, and jump in and offer assistance whenever you can. That's how you can help this work. Any questions? I know that was a lot, y'all, but hopefully we gave you guys some good information and kind of prepared you for what's about to come. I'll just say for now, the things you need to worry about now is just supporting those trainers. Know that between the months of between the months of May and August, they're going to be busy getting certified. And we'll shoot to hold our first quarterly meeting sometime August, early September. So those are things you can just kind of jot down and keep in the back of your mind for right now. And then we'll just keep updating every step of the way, every step of the journey. We'll be doing these meetings where we can update you guys, those check-in meetings, so we can share information. Katie, did you have your hand raised? I thought I saw your hand raised.
No, ma'am, I was just clapping because y'all gave such good information.
I didn't get that. Did anybody? I didn't catch that. I'm sorry. Can you put it in chat for me? I was just clapping. Okay, thank you, Katie. Thank you. Any other questions?
Courtney, did we cover all the questions that we've had in previous ones? I think we did.
I think we did. We talked about how can you help if you're not one of the trainers. Oh, we did. I don't know if we covered the one about, there was a question that came up. I believe it was yesterday or maybe the day before. I can't remember. But there was a question that with TEIS being accredited, will providers who are contracted under that program be accredited? And Kate, you want to cover
I'll take that? Yeah. So when CQL accredits a system like DIDD, TEIS, there are some others that we're working with. That doesn't mean that everybody is accredited under that. So if you're providing services under TEIS, you know, as just an agency or whatever, that does not mean that your agency is accredited. That is a separate partnership that occurs. So, you know, we get this question a lot, but you know, we have several agencies that we accredit in Tennessee, and it's a separate partnership. However, it's also a partnership with DIDD and TEIS. So DIDD and TEIS will be supporting CQL in those agency-specific accreditations, and it's a transparent relationship. So if, you know, DIDD or TEIS or we at CQL see something that is absolutely fantastic, we want to make sure we share that information. If we see something that's worrisome, then we also want to share that information with, you know, DIDD and TEIS. So just to let you know that it is a transparent relationship among all of the partners. The other thing is that at this point in time, accreditation is not required for, you know, for agencies that are providing the services under DIDD and TEIS. I think those are the two top questions we've gotten.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm trying to think, was there another question, you guys? I think that was it. I think those were the top ones. I think we've covered. Seth, did we miss anything that you can recall? I think those were the biggies.
I don't know. It seemed like the question on individual provider accreditation was the top one that you guys covered.
Yeah,
No?
yeah.
Are there any other questions, comments? Anybody else excited about this besides Courtney and me? And Mr. Petrie.
And Seth.
Okay, and Amber and Allison and Dr. Madison and Dr. Schaefer, and yeah. This will be fun, and we will learn a lot. We will learn a lot.
We love to laugh and have a good time. We have a lot of work to do, and sometimes it can be a heavy lift sometimes, but you can still have fun with it. And so we try to laugh and have a good time as much as we possibly can. It just makes things better. As always, don't hesitate to reach out. The contact information is right here. You will receive this PowerPoint. So you can reach out to Amanda, Allison, Joan, myself, Dr. Madison. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Again, we will work very hard to keep you guys in the loop, make sure that we're communicating, make sure you know exactly where we are in the process, and those type of things. So more to come, but this is our official kickoff week. It's been a great week. We're excited. I'm glad to be a part of this journey. And I can't wait to we jump in and get rolling. So, Kate, you
I'll
have
put my contact information in the chat box if anybody has any CQL specific questions. Please feel free to reach out and ask.
Yeah, we're here. Listen, Kate and I can talk about accreditation all day. Like this is what we do. We've been doing this for several years. We've been working together. We said we need to take our show on the road, but we have a great time. We love to have a good time, and so we make have fun with it. We learn a lot. We're extremely supportive, and we recognize the importance of this work and the impact that it has on folks' lives, and so that's what it's all about. But if there's no other,
and we get stuff done.
We do. We just bragging on ourselves, y'all. We're not conceited, for real. We're not. But anyways, if there's no other questions, we'll give you guys a couple of minutes back in your day. And I thank you for spending your morning with us, and holla if you need us.
Have a good one, everyone.
Bye.